The Justice League have gone international. Post Crisis on Infinite Earths, they were too big of a team to just be contained to the Justice League of America. So DC Comics brought on legendarily talented creators Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis to script a new series for the Justice League that would chart a different future, one that featured a vastly different creative team than readers would have been used to in 1987 when this series debuted. And they tapped Kevin McGuire, whose name should be familiar to pretty much everybody who can hear my voice, to draw this very different and interesting iteration of the Justice League. We are here, the pals are here, to discuss Justice League International and to tell you whether or not this series stands the test of time, because I've heard a lot of really good things about it. I haven't read it with my own two eyes. Now that I have, we will tell you the truth about whether or not Justice League International is still good. Here to have this conversation with me, as always, are Marco,
Celsius,
Tyler.
My cat did a little grumble when you said that, so I think he approves of it, which means you're going to the shelter.
Shit, wow.
Out.
And I'm Sean. Thank you for being here, whether you are alive or in the future. Smash the like button if you tend to enjoy what we do. We are firing things up here on the last day of September to bring to you the book club that we promised about Justice League International. Stick around. Later on, we will tell you what next month's theme will be, and we'll read your questions and your comments about Justice League International. Thank you to everybody who nominated this book, who voted for this book over on patreon.com/thecomicspals. You guys help make this possible just by voting. Just by voting, you make it all possible and you make it fun to do this. So let's go back. Let's go back a ways to time before any of us were born. We're talking about 1987. DC Comics is fresh off of Crisis on Infinite Earths. They're rebooting everything. You know, this is a pivotal point for DC Comics. I think, you know, a lot of the things that we would come to associate with DC are starting to become formed and established here now. And this is a time when a lot of the League core members were off the table and not available. And so DeMatteis and Giffen and McGuire had to figure out a different group of characters to use and a different way to present these heroes. And so this is the cast that they went with. Black Canary, Blue Beetle, Captain Marvel, Dr. Fate, Dr. Light, Guy Gardner, Martian Manhunter, and Mr. Miracle. And of course, Batman. Now, Batman, the only reason he's even here is because Denny O'Neil felt bad for the creative team. He was the editor on the book, and he felt bad for them. So he was like, all right, we'll give you Batman. He's the editor over on Batman. We'll give you Batman so you can do something. So you can sell a comic book. We'll give you Batman.
We'll give you one.
A pity pick?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's funny, though, because Batman, this book needs Batman for a certain role that really works with the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it would have worked without him. I'm sure they would have found someone to play that role. But yeah.
Oberon.
Oh, yeah.
He slides right in there. That's that bat slot.
That bat slot. Love it. But yeah, this is a team that only features one, I mean, you know, Batman aside, one other character who has, at this point, deep ties to core League, which is Martian Manhunter, who is a welcome presence in a sea of, you know, relative newcomers.
And I thought that was an interesting approach to take it from that. They're all coming into this fresh. There is a level of legacy. It's not the same kind of JSA, we're honoring and putting you on this pedestal. It does feel very much, hey, this is the next set of people coming into the office. And I think that distinguishes it. The luster of the legacy isn't there as much as it is this outfit has to continue to operate. Who are the new people we're kind of bringing into the fold? So I did appreciate that. That felt kind of in line with some of the more modern things. I'm thinking of Unlimited at the moment, where
Mm.
everybody's on the team, right? Because we have to keep this, we have to keep the operations going, but also because we have the flexibility to be able to pull from this person and that person, and so on and so forth. So I did think that that was a cool framing.
Yeah. I kind of like that it was also this kind of B-level team. It added, and it's a B-level team, but it also has Batman and Martian Manhunter in it, because their dynamics, especially early on in the series, where they're like, "Oh God, what are we into?" I like that bit. There was some continuity between what I know as a Justice League and what this team is, that I actually enjoyed. I like them as like like the elder statesman of this workspace,
Mm-hmm.
when they hire a whole bunch of new college seasonal hires. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally what Captain Marvel is in this.
Yeah.
And how they have to deal with that. Yeah, I enjoyed that bit of it, even though it was almost accidental.
Oh, you're on mute, Sean.
Sorry about that. Strike one. Yeah, I really like going into it. I looked at the roster. I was like, okay, I haven't read this era before. I'm pretty sure we all came into this fresh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So for me, I know about some of the relationships, but only in the aftermath. Like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold are both a part of this. Booster comes in a little bit later, but like I know they're friendly. I know about their relationship, but I never really seen it play out. This is a book that features those two together, which I really loved. Batman and Guy, we've all heard about that before. Like there are tension points within the roster that definitely make this an interesting book. But Batman, or excuse me, Superman being off the table as a regular member, he does make a guest appearance, but right now he's busy being redefined in John Byrne's Man of Steel. And Wonder Woman,
Mm.
her absence is definitely felt.
Yeah.
Right now, George Perez is doing his legendary run on Wonder Woman. So these characters were just off the board. And I think, a lot of, even nowadays, sometimes we can become used to those super teams that just have
Yeah.
like everybody awesome on them. This isn't that. It's pretty clear that it worked for us. But do you think that this is something that obviously DC did it out of necessity? Do you think this is something that the big two should strive for more often, or what do you think?
I mean, Steve Canaris here says that it must be liberating for a writer not to have to worry about the team solo books, and I think there's probably something to say about that. I think this sort of reminds me of like New Avengers during Bendis's era. Like Luke Cage didn't have a comic; his comic was New Avengers. And that let me like focus in. Like if I'm into Luke Cage, I can just read this team book and I have all the story there. I kind of like that. As that's one of the reasons why Jed McKay's Avengers run maybe isn't working for everyone, is that like everyone's got their own book in there, and whether or not the Avengers book references who's on the team, like what's happening in their solo books, is up to the writer's discretion. Here it's like, no, this is where you see these characters in this iteration of the Justice League. If you want to know what's happening with them, you will get it in this book, and I like that.
I think it only works in this vacuum, though, of the books being popular and being led by these massive, being defined by these massive runs. Because if you do this too often, I think the novelty begins to wear off. I think there's something about the novelty of, one, the way that the team's put together, but then two, the characters themselves that lend to the fact that this works because they are B tier. I wouldn't go so far as to say C tier necessarily, but they are just like the level under, and they'd be looking up at a Batman, at a Superman, at a Wonder Woman, at the original team. There is that bit of reverence, when Green Lantern comes, like, so I definitely think, I don't know that this would be a lesson learned, because right now they're doing kind of the opposite. Everybody's part of the league and we're just using them as teams. So if we were to take this, you'd have to really be smart about how you do it.
Yeah, I really like the way that this team is put together and presented.
Yeah.
It very much reminds me, Tyler brought up New Avengers. It very much reminds me of that book where, there's a reason why you're kind of getting this odd group of characters. I agree that it's weird though, because when I look at this team, and again, we're in 2025, but when I look at this team, I don't actually look at it and see a B-list group.
No.
That's the funny thing about it. I look at this team and I go, wow, Captain Marvel, Shazam, he could be, I would put him on the Justice League. I love him. You have a Green Lantern, it's Guy Gardner. It could be any one of them, but he's an upper tier Green Lantern. Dr. Fate is awesome. Batman, Blue Beetle, Martian Manhunter belongs there. Black Canary's regular. I love Mr. Miracle. Like Dr. Light and who was that, Rocket Red? Those are the only ones that kind of stand out as like, yeah, but everybody else is a solid hitter.
We got the very beginnings of Fire and Ice in the chunk that we read too, because I was wondering when they would show up. But like, yeah, I think it's like, but that's because of this book. You know what I mean? Like I view those characters in that historical lens because they kind of, I assume, got big in this book. I just had never read this book. So I don't know about you guys. After I read the annual, I do want to read more of this because I even in the small chunk we had, I was really interested in these character dynamics and who these people were. That I can see why after this book, we look at Mr. Miracle, we look at Blue Beetle and Booster Gold in such like a good light now.
You mentioned the character dynamics. I think there are moments where they shine and then moments where I'm like, all right, I get it. Because some jokes, some characters, honestly, I feel like overstay their welcome with like the bits.
Is it Blue Beetle?
Dude, every other thing out of this guy's mouth is a fucking tries to be a one-liner, just doesn't land. Like
I loved it.
And like there are moments that it shines for sure, right? There are moments where like, oh, that was good. It was novel at the beginning, but I think novelty erodes with repetition. And the fact that Blue Beetle was the just the joke guy, I'm like, all right, dude, like either pass it off, hand off the baton, hand off the bit to someone else, or like in some moments you don't need to talk. It kind of reminded me of you guys mentioned like Bendis speak, where like everybody has to kind of like get a line in instances. I found myself a lot of the issues are 23 pages, 25 pages, but I found myself in each issue. I'm reading a lot here. Like everybody's getting a line in, and it works sometimes, or it works, but sometimes it feels like I'm kind of trudging along. So the pacing was affected, I think, one by the jokes, and then also by the amount of by the volume of speech bubbles that were included.
Well, let me tackle that, because on the subject of the jokes and the more comedic aspect of this book, that was something that Keith Giffen tapped as a potential way to make this book stand out, because it doesn't have the bells and whistles of Superman and Wonder Woman on it. They were lucky to even get Batman. And there's also, this is post-crisis, so there's not, and this is just me talking, there's not some larger thing to attach them to as it relates to like a dark side or a monitor situation. So the story is really small scale. And I think what they figured out, which worked for me more than it didn't, is that if you leaned in more on the character relationships, it wouldn't be as important that you didn't have like a world-ending thing going on. Where I agree with you though is that I think the humor aspect, frankly, not just that, almost every character dynamic was mined too much. Like Batman and Guy going at it lasts almost the entire run. like the first 8 issues or so, it's just them clashing. And then Guy gets weird, and then that goes away. But it was a lot while they were showing it. Like, it was a ton.
That was one of the dynamics that I felt like could have persisted. I did like that he would put him in his place. But there's moments right now where I'm looking at the moving issue, right? And Martian Manhunter just picking up the ton of Oreos and then falls through the ceiling. And this is the exact line. John, yes, Captain Adam. I couldn't help noticing that you just fell through the ceiling. Oh, is that what happened? And I hear a laugh track, dude.
Mm.
I hear a laugh track.
I fucking loved it. This was the most sitcom ass comic I've ever read from superheroes. And I know like that's what people have said about this book, but I have never actually read it. So actually being able to see that, I thought it was great. I was like, oh, there was nothing like this in comics right now. Like even Bendis has Bendis speak, but it's not this. This is literally, it feels like a sitcom, and I mean that in the best way possible. I mean, I love sitcoms, so seeing that in the lens of a superhero story was a great time for me. That being said, I can see how it wouldn't be a great time for some people. You know, I got to imagine the shift was probably a big shift at the time in '86. I mean, this is not the kind of stuff that's happening tonally in Superman. You know what else is coming out this year? That is actually on one of the covers here. I forget which cover it is, but it'll pop up in the slides. Watchmen is coming out this year. So like there's this, like tonally, it's got to be very different for the line, but shit, that's what I enjoyed. That was like a driving force behind it. I liked the thought bubbles in this, and how everyone could kind of like just like say bullshit to somebody else like in their head, because you would. If somebody's pissing you off, you might not say it out loud, especially in a workplace, but you would say something smarmy in your head. And I like how we had a peek into that, which I don't think we really get in comics anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Fisher with $5 says New 52 Justice League International was the best JLI. Hashtag troll life. Legends was cool though. Thank you, Matt Fisher. New 52 JLI, I never read it. I won't be going back to look for it. But thank you. I didn't get to Legends though. I couldn't find the time for that.
New 52 JLI is not great.
I'm not shocked. And then Dan Trudeau with the 20 spot. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you for doing this book, pals. Been looking forward to it. DC and Marvel editors were very stingy about their characters being in the Justice League and Avengers until the late 90s, when they both went back to the iconic teams. That makes sense. Not that I agree with the approach. It just makes sense because I've seen a lot of these teams that just look a little off in terms of who's on the roster. But again, like I don't look at this initial roster and go, "Oh, this sucks." I actually look at, like, if they announced a Justice League book with this exact same roster today, I'd be like, "Okay, cool, bring it on."
Yeah,
that's fair. Team too.
Yeah, actually, because I think everything I've read by Giffen and DeMatteis I've liked. Separate, like those two individuals, because Giffen was a big part of, obviously, Annihilation, which I loved, and DeMatteis, I mean, he's done a lot of legendary shit. The biggest concern I had coming into this, as we get into talking about the story and the mechanics of this, was actually the dialogue. Because a lot of these older books have dialogue that just feels rough and clunky. And this doesn't feel like that at all.
No.
I felt like Crisis on Infinite Earths, for example, that was very tough to read, which I was frustrated by when we did the book club on that. But this, very easy to read, like not overwhelming from a dialogue perspective. It feels like night and day, and Crisis came out in '86 and was written by Wolfman. This feels like it could have come out 20 years later in terms of the stylistic approach to dialogue.
And that's what made it, that's what kept me going throughout the issues, honestly. Like, as I'm reading issue 12 or whatever, I'm like, classic Ted Kord. You know, like that's how I'm reading this book at this point. Like I'm enjoying who these characters are. And a lot of them, like, as much as I like Ted Kord, like he was dead most of the time. in my modern comics reading. Like I read him during like 52 and he got back then, you know, and that's where I remember him from. And then it was like, oh, we're going to team him up with Booster Gold and like, and then that's the dynamic that you all loved. I'm like, I never loved it. I never read it. So it was cool seeing the genesis of that here. Yeah. I thought that a lot of this was great, honestly.
I definitely think it suffers a bit from like the time. There was a, you know, Reagan and Gorbachev, right? Like
Yes.
some of it's dated, so sometimes the jokes don't land there. But that's no fault of the book as much as it is. It's just its age, and that's fine.
It's funny you mentioned the Reagan and Gorbachev of it all, because like they would not do that in comics anymore.
Yes, I had that thought. I'm like, when would they think of like a current president like Reagan and Superman?
Yeah, because it wasn't political back then. It just was politics. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it just was what was. And historically, we're going to tell it because that's what was. Everything is like, it's too, now it's just like, it's too hands off at this point. We're going to make our own characters. Let's not wade into any waters where people can have I don't know, a Daily Mail article about it, you know? So that was jarring to me. I'm like, oh, I forgot we had actual political figures in comics at one point.
I wasn't even bothered by those appearances, or any of that, because like I love that stuff. I love when the book feels of the time that it came from, in terms of who appears in it. Like when there's a celebrity appearance or whatever like that. I really appreciated that stuff. And this book is steeped in media and politics and stuff like that. This team um is dealing with government. They're dealing with international waters and situations. Um and I love when these books get to do that. In fact, one of my favorite parts about this book is that it doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal. Like I like the fact that, you know, there are people to answer to. There are people whose opinions matter outside of the league. And it's not about Darkseid. It's about like, don't go to Bialia or whatever and cause an international incident, guy, because you're a dumbass. You know, like stuff like that works. It really like it's that smaller scale that I feel like these super teams have really lost the plot on over the years.
I think that smaller scale that you're talking to is such a strength. Like, while I called out that moment in the moving issue, I think when would you have a moving issue entirely dedicated to just we're shifting boxes around, we're wiring things, you know, we're getting ready for the next fight? It very much felt like let's settle here. This is a consequence of what happened in the last issue, but it's one again not of superheroics as much as it is a workplace environment. I think that was an advantage taken here by Giffen, by DeMatteis, to be able to say what we're trying to do here is show these characters as if they were doing any other job, because that's what the Justice League is in this scenario. Is it's any other job right now.
And I think that lends to the workplace feel of this book, which I think was one of the things I like most about it.
That's a great call out, that it feels like a job. It feels like they're at work. They feel like colleagues more than they feel like friends or some fake found family or anything like that you typically get. Like most of the time, at least in my reading experience, these feel like, they don't feel like workmates. They feel like something deeper than that.
Yeah.
And like Batman and Guy just don't get along. Batman is that boss at work who's sort of a dick. He knows everything to do. He's right, but he's an ass about it. That's Batman in this book. I gotta say, Batman was far and away my favorite part.
Really?
Yes, because this is a very different Batman than you typically get to see. Zero Bruce Wayne. He doesn't even appear. It's just Batman. But B, he's leading the team in a like a manager type of way. No, I'm used to Batman leading from the front. He's either strategizing or just in the shadows getting shit done. You don't even know what he's doing until it's done. But here, he's in the office telling them, like, guys, shut up. You know, go, Ted, go get the Beetle ready now. You know, like he's just that.
And one of the things I did like about this book too is that there's recurring bits throughout at least the first 12 issues. Like the whole bit where it's like, oh, Batman made a joke.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
They're like, everyone's surprised.
It's like, oh, this. I heard he made one like 5 years ago. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh
Yeah,
man,
that was
it
good.
got me every time. I'm like, that is good. I am going to say it's good comics. It's good writing that I'm not used to in comics. It's a type of writing I'm not used to in comics. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Steve Canaris says he's the adult in a room of kindergartners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Which
that.
they say constantly.
Yeah, but it's good because there's the moment where uh Batman and Manhunter are kind of remarking like this wouldn't fly in the old days, like this new blood, this new generation, and it feels very much like, ugh, this old generation is kind of complaining about the new generation that's coming into work, and I feel like I can imagine the generation of readers connected to that. That very much was the post kind of like Reaganomics era, like all of that fits. And for the people who are probably reading this, that's what they were doing. They were getting to work and they're kind of getting it from the boss, from Batman, from Martian Manhunter. And one of your coworkers very well may be Ted Cord, who's just joking around, kind of everything's a joke, doesn't take shit seriously. And in the same way that Guy is just straight up antagonistic. Like, yo, guys, shut up, dude. Just get back to typing.
Everyone's worked with the guy.
I fucking love Guy, dude. I hate it. I love to hate him.
He's one of those guys, like, especially since it's early on too, and this is kind of where I wanted to go with, like, keep going with it. Is like, I know I'm gonna like him, even though he's an asshole, and I know everyone else will too. And yeah, this might be one I keep in the back burner. And I just keep going on because, like, it's just fun to see all these people, and like, yeah, sure, there's some like Captain Marvel dips pretty early in this. But even him, he had some good points here that kind of lent to that whole Batman quite literally taking care of children.
Yeah.
And then how he was more mature than Guy in some situations. Man, this is just real fun stuff.
What the fuck happened to Guy though? Because I don't know how I didn't catch what happened to him, but he went from being totally normal to not.
The punch happened. Batman punched him so hard.
No. Because remember Hal and Maxwell Lord were talking, and they're like, "Hey, I need to send you in, Hal." And he needs to speak to Guy. Something happened off panel. Because I couldn't figure it out.
There was a character who asked, and they're like, "Oh, Guy got hit in the head," and that's what happened. So I assumed it was the punch that did it.
They thought it was the punch because that was the last thing that they and we, the audience, saw. But there was a cutaway where it's Maxwell Lord and Hal speaking, and something in there happened.
Okay.
I was like, either I missed it or it's something that's going to be revealed later because I don't know what the hell happened. But all of a sudden, my man started the poses. Kevin McGuire, phenomenal artist. We're going to talk more about him. The poses that Guy Gardner kept hitting throughout the book after his change, hilarious. Hilarious.
All right, Shalom Warburg says they explain it later on. Okay.
Okay, cool. Good.
Thank you. But yeah, this book is so character driven. Like this is to me what I'm wanting to see today from a lot of these teen books. Yeah. I know that they had slightly more page space because today's comics are 22 issues or 22 pages, and these are a little more than that. But it feels like they fit so much more in, and I think part of that is because what's like the situations that the league finds themselves in is just not that important. Like the three anti-nuke people, right? Who are they? What are their names? What are they? All we know is that they're aliens from another planet who are from a planet that lost themselves to nuclear weaponry. So, okay, great. They have nuclear power on other planets. First of all, hilarious. Second of all, they come and they just need to be dealt with. Like they represent, probably the perspective of the world at that time. It's a very anti-nuke time. It's Cold War era. So that's all fine. But what's important about that is how the league deals with it, not those characters. Fuck them.
One of them is called the Silver Sorceress, and she's brown. I couldn't unsee that.
Hilarious. The hell happened there?
That almost seems like a bit, because when I was looking up for slides for this, I'm like, no, this wasn't a recoloring issue. No, at least she looked. But yeah, it's not about that. But that's you furthering your point, Sean. We're like, sure, that's the plot, but what it's really about is how they deal with their first roadblock as a team and how the team dynamic works.
Mm-hmm. It's functional to help push the dynamics of the team. Like
Yeah.
your first big bad, it's not first big bad, but like it's just your first mission out.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, a bit of an adjustment for me because I'm used to these team books. Right away you get into something big, but I wasn't bothered. I wasn't, and
No.
it's very old school as well. Um, I just wasn't bothered. Like, all right, cool. Give them something to do. Give them someone to punch or think about. Something to focus on. But really, what we're showing up for is the character interactions, the jokes, and just some of the commentary. I thought this was really good. Like,
Yeah.
I could have done with a little bit more efficiency because there's a lot of redundant conversation and stuff like that. I get it. It's how things were. Um and maybe a little bit more forward momentum. Like, I was upset that by the end of our reading, finally we start getting going with Maxwell Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't the book's fault. But I was like, oh shit, I want to know more about, like, Metron came and all shit started to get crazy.
Yeah.
And it was over.
And
Fast.
There was the other bit that I liked throughout this too, especially in the trunk that we read, was and it's a very of the time thing, but it's the newscasts with Jack Ryder
Yeah.
and the Creeper. Like, that reminds me of, like, Dark Knight. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was a lot, even in Man of Steel, there was a lot of those like interstitial TV screen size shaped panels that was like a thing of the times, which I think it worked here in a much different way than it does in stuff like Dark Knight, and definitely not like Spawn. But I found it to be beneficial to the book, like, because part of what this book is public perception.
Yep.
It is PR. That's what Maxwell Lord's whole thing is. That's why they even, like, they're suspicious of him, but they're like, hey, we might actually be able to use him when they first bring him. They let him stay on the team, So, like, that whole bit of it is, again, something we don't really see in comics. It's the public reaction to the superhero team.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is played with really well. Like, yes, the part of with Jack Ryder, but I think also it helps build a bit of like mystery, because then when John and Oberon are talking to Maxwell Lord kind of off to the side, I started to have doubts about what John's about, and like what is he doing with Maxwell Lord. Like, I
Yeah.
can get the sense that he's sort of like an undercurrent of, he has his own intentions, right? His own machinations there, but now he's getting involved directly in with the team leader. That's going to affect the dynamic of the team. So it functions to help just build a bit of suspense as well.
Yeah, I really love the I really love the way this book, like, I want to say paced. I'm not so sure if that's the word that fits. It's hard to talk about because we only read a chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, this isn't an arc. Comics weren't written that way yet. So, like, the arc of Maxwell Lord's story, for example, I have no idea how long it is. It could be years. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea. But I like the fact that if I were to choose to read more of this, I'll get more of what I was enjoying. Like, I could have read another 10 issues of this.
And I probably will. And I think the fact that it's no real arc. Sure, there are some storylines that are in chunks, but it again feels more like a sitcom, because the plot is not the main point. It's the who these are. It's seeing Booster and Blue Beetle go to Paris together just because they were just happen to be shipped off to Paris to do the moving for that thing, and then their friendship starts blossoming there, where they're busting each other's balls after trying to hit on women. It's interactions like that. It's the interactions with like Black Canary constantly having to remind people that she's the only woman in the team right now, and kind of speak up for herself. That's what gets me along through this book.
That part bothered me, and I know it's just one of those old isms. Black Canary, I felt like, was done dirty. She doesn't really get to do much more than beat a girl. Like, she kicks some ass, but like, her, from a character perspective, all she gets to do is beat a girl. And I feel like, I mean, again, like, Black Canary, I think of her differently now,
Yeah.
because so many more comics have come out. You would never see her in this kind of role today.
Yeah.
And when I saw that Dr. Light was on the team, I was like, okay, cool. Well, she was just in Crisis.
Yep.
So maybe, there's something there. And again, nothing there. They gave the women really nothing to do. And I was bothered by that, because when you don't, I mean, it's not like they're surrounded by Titans. You know what I'm saying? It's a chance to do something meaningful with them. And that just doesn't happen in these issues.
And I think there is something to be said for like giving it to Mateus, call it out, but they don't change her circumstance, at least in this chunk. There's a lot of points where she's like, oh, glad I finally get to do something. Or like, hey, I'm here. It is a bit of a punchline. And to be fair, like, Dr. Light, not really a member of the team, at least in this first chunk. She's kind of just around. So we don't really get real other women on the team till Fire and Ice, which we only got a tease of in this. So that could change throughout the run, but that was probably the thing that jumped out to me the most. I'm like, oh, this is not the character I'm used to. She'd be leading this team. She'd be all right. See you, Batman. I'll handle it.
I think the other thing there is Black Canary, but also I felt like Mr. Miracle wasn't as functional a part of the team, outside of like Oberon and Metron for later. But like there, I feel like there are a lot of instances where we see inaction, and that was something to kind of adjust to. He at most would throw punches, but maybe we just haven't gotten to like a more central story with Mr. Miracle quite yet. But outside of being like the tech guy, there's even the instance where he's trying to hack what is it, the Manhunter version of the Red Rocket guy. That I don't know, it fell flat. That character to me fell flat in this series.
See, I actually like Mr. Miracle in this, because he's not from Earth. He is an alien, but unlike John is, he can kind of pass. And his whole thing that he's a showman and he's learning how to be a superhero. And there's bits here where like he says a catchphrase and there's a thought bubble. He's like, oh, I guess this superhero thing is working for me.
That's right.
I like how he's kind of a fish out of water and learning how to fit in with the traditional superhero aspect of things. And he brings along Oberon, who's kind of like just a, more of a corpro guy that kind of tags along.
Yeah.
It's his
It's
agent,
PR guy.
essentially. Yeah. I dug that, and I think I would have liked to have seen, and there again probably is more that I haven't gotten to, more of Booster and him and how they interact, because they're kind of similar in ways.
I think part of the problem is the chunk we read. It feels like Mr. Miracle's about to be more important, but he was also the team's tech guy, which I thought would go to Ted Cord more so. But Mr. Miracle, I guess because of the idea he can escape any death trap and everything else, the only way they could figure out how to make him super relevant was being the guy who can use his technology, but also his intelligence. When they encounter the that beam, that crazy beam,
the
and
death ray,
he figures out like, oh, this is not actually a threat. I thought that was pretty cool. But I feel like the characters on this team don't really get feats as much. Like, we're used to those feat moments where it's like someone does something epic and it sticks in your mind. There aren't a lot of moments like that throughout this book.
It's more like Star Trek. And they joke about it in this, but it is like they kind of fill little archetypal roles and they work as a team. And occasionally one or two people will have a big moment, but they're all just there to kind of exist in conjunction with each other. And they even joke about Star Trek a couple times in this, where Batman makes a Star Trek joke, which I was like, I don't know if he's a Trekkie, but
He's aware of pop culture.
Oh yeah, I think Batman's aware of everything. Have to be.
I think he's more of a Star Wars or a Trekkie.
Star Trek. If he were gonna be into
one.
anything, I don't think he's into it. I don't think he's into anything, but I think he knows about it.
Got it. Okay.
You know who I really liked throughout this, who I thought was really cool, and I now like I'm getting to like them more. Is Martian Manhunter.
Mm-hmm.
I've really liked his role here. He's the old guard, but in a not in the same way that Batman is. Batman is I have experience, do what I say. Martian Manhunter is I have experience. Let me teach you. Let me guide you. Let me be as much of a help as I can be. It's hard in a modern context to see what people talk about when they talk about why they love Martian Manhunter because he hasn't gotten to do shit in the last 20 years, really. But here, he's not the leader, but he's the heart. And he does become the leader for the front facing aspect of the team a little later on, where Batman's like, "Hey, we're going international. I gotta stay in the shadows. You gotta lead."
There's sometimes a bit of a good cop bad cop situation with those two.
Yeah,
that I enjoyed. I did this little solidified my Martian Manhunter maybe deserves S tier on a Justice League rank. If anyone else does out of what we picked, but like I really liked his dynamic where he wasn't cynical like Batman is. He was strangely more human than Batman is.
Yeah. And I think that was on purpose. That dichotomy is meant to be like he's more compassionate for being the alien, for being from Mars. That I did think was good, like a good comparison. And I think for what it's worth, it also helps to provide him a bit of growth. He has kind of a trajectory, a direction to be the leader, to grow into that role, to be a bit more caring and considerate. So I also think that was well done from a storytelling perspective. Like you want to have these characters go in directions that help show improvement over time. That was one that hit both from a status standpoint, but also from an emotional standpoint.
yeah, and I think it's impressive to make us, you know, at this point in time, readers in '87, I'm not sure what their perspective on any of these people would have been, but for me, Martian Manhunter, I need those moments. I need to understand through his dialogue, through his actions, why should I care? And I feel like this book did a good enough job with him for that. I wouldn't say I'm positive it did it for every character, but again, this is just 12 out of what Chad is saying is 60 issues that they did. That's a lot of time, and I'm sure that everybody gets their due at some point.
And if that's the only that we read, what
12
issues. I was trying to do a quick percentage in there, but I'm not good at math. But like that's a small chunk of a bigger thing. And for us to feel like mostly everyone kind of got a chance to showcase who they are that quickly is commendable, honestly. Even the annual that we read, the first annual, is a Martian Manhunter centric one. Gorgeous art by Bill Willingham and that. But even then, that kind of gets to put a little spotlight on a character and explain, what his reasoning is and how he is integral to the team.
It's 20%, so a fifth of the way through.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there's a lot to learn when it comes to just character work, man. Just character work. There's so much to learn for modern writers from this early run. I love the way it's constructed. I love how the bigger things take a backseat. I would say, like, this isn't a perfect series. I would say that there's definitely a way to up not the stakes, but the relevance of the plot just a little bit more while still keeping the character interactions at the forefront. But overall, yeah, I really think this was strong. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
I will say issue 10, that one of the Millennium week 5 issue,
Oh
that's like
yeah, yeah.
that threw me for a loop, which to
The
be
Nort.
well, I like Nort. Nort's great, and I know he definitely shows up later on. He becomes like a mainstay, I believe.
Oh.
But just it being like, all right, we're in the middle of week 5 of an event that you didn't know anything about, and now just Superman and Hal Jordan and his creepy teen girlfriend are in this. That was probably like the lowest point for me, but I also think that's because I didn't read everything else that was part of that actual story.
But even then, it was one of those instances where an event kind of gets jumps its way into the main book, and I had the thought, I'm like, oh, it's always been an issue, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, wait, were we reading about, like, does this have anything to do with what we were just reading?
Oh,
Oh, all right.
Well, a little bit yes, with Manhunters involved,
Yeah,
but a little bit
sure.
no. There was one bit that actually made me laugh out loud in that issue, where it's like Hawkman and Hawkgirl talking. They're like, "Why are we joking so much?" I don't know. It's just because it's this book, and I'm sure this issue tonally had to kind of keep that tone throughout 9, 10, and 11. That it was kind of funny seeing the characters actually call out.
we I know we spoke a bit on Kevin McGuire already, but I wanted to shout him out again also, just because I feel like his art is very emblematic of some of the stuff that I love about like the 80s, the shading, the use of like simple lines to be able to uh build and kind of devise characters. There's nothing is like super flashy about this stuff, and it fits this line of cartoony, but leaning into a bit of that realism. Again, just a strong shout out. Like, I just opened back up to this, the Metron page, and it's a simple construction. There's not a lot going on, but you get these like accents of like hatching almost for inks as opposed to dark inks, and that helps to build a lot of perspective and depth. So again, just a shout out.
His faces are unmatched.
Ah, so
Everyone,
expressive.
it feels like I'm watching an actor.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I as I'm sitting here right now, I haven't given it a ton of thought. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure who even matches up with what Kevin McGuire is able to do here from a facial work standpoint. Um,
Ooh, that's a good point.
we talked about some book we just read. I think it was New Gods that has Mr. Miracle in it, and the mask, and
Yeah.
it just looks so creepy and nasty. And in this book, Mr. Miracle's emotive, he's expressive, but it looks right. It doesn't look it like, I feel like in New Gods it almost looked like he was like that was a part of his skin or something. Whereas here it looks like a mask.
Well, you can even see his skin under his eyes. Like, it's not blacked
Yeah.
out. So it lets him actually have eyes that emote.
Right.
As opposed to the Batman the Animated Seriesification of some costumes, where it's just the eyes. It's just the whites of the eyes that like Spider-Man would have or Batman would have. Like, these characters actually get to have eyeballs, and we can see that. Because look at the issue, what was it, 8 or 9, the moving issue. That cover alone has just 3 characters on it, but each one of them is telling a different story. And it's just like, just in the face alone, and the body language throughout this book that Kevin McGuire can do. Like, sure, his facial work is great, but the body language is also amazing.
Yeah, just a tremendous choice for this book. A book where it's so focused on character and interactions and stuff. You need someone who can sell those facial expressions and sell those moments. And to be able to do it with Mr. Miracle, a character that, again, like, I've seen done way worse, I was pretty impressed by Kevin throughout this. Where I'm trying to think, because obviously we've seen Kevin McGuire on other stuff, but what is this? What is the standout Kevin McGuire work?
I think this is it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's also, like, I mean, if we went to a Comic-Con, you've seen him redo that cover of JLI with any number of characters. I think he's redone it with like Avengers and stuff. But like, that's just like that group shot is classic comics at this point.
Yeah, that the cover to number 1 of this is like we've all seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin McGuire was incredible on this.
Heavy lifting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what allows you to do the comedy. It's what allows you to do the moments because you have someone who can handle it. When you have an artist who's not as strong with the facial work and the those beats, you can't you that's why sometimes you have to focus more on the action because you just can't get those emotions out there.
And I think one of the things about this book is how slapstick it is,
Yep.
and for that's all that is, right? Is that dynamicism via the body. So I think it plays really well. The moments I refer back to, when he falls to the floor, he stays kind of like stuck, squat, right? And that's a small nuance to you've busted through the floor and you're kind of just like landing. The way that I think Ted Cord does some kind of like speedy maneuver, and in the background, somebody tips over and falls. The bonks of the head from Guy, like all of those things are small touches that happen that are all action, right? Action, because they all involve some sort of movement, and he's really good at doing that.
Yeah, totally. I had a lot of fun reading this. It wasn't perfect. There are some old isms and some warts of time, but this is one of the more enjoyable experiences I have had reading old comics. Because it doesn't feel that old. It's written and drawn in such a way that with some modern touch-ups, this could release today.
Yeah,
Easily.
100%.
Yeah, easily.
You clean up the dialogue a bit, be a little more selective about the bits. It's good stuff.
More bits.
The bits were fine.
I'm thinking about the recommendation portion of this because we always talk about like who we would recommend it to, and that I'm not so sure. Like, not to say that that people shouldn't read it. I think people should read it fine, but who should read it? That I'm not sure about.
Do you like Cheers? Read this comic book.
Wow.
Seinfeld.
I mean that, like, honestly, like, but I also, I'm not sure I would recommend this chunk as much as I would recommend, like, no, if you can do it, read everything. Or keep reading till you decide you're done.
This feels like an instance of, if you're a new reader as well, I think this works for you because this helps to set a baseline for what comics could be. And so I think I would be okay giving this to a new reader. Yes, it's older, but I think for somebody kind of coming in fresh, this sets you up for stuff down the road. It's fresh enough that you'll be able to follow along and keep up and have a laugh along the way and be like, oh, hey, actually, that was cool. I did not expect this of comics, let alone superhero comics.
Yeah. Atomic Hound with the $4.99. I know Invasion was not a winner, but now that you've got a taste of JLI, you might want to check out the Invasion crossover issue with Oberon, issue 22, if I remember correctly. Atomic Hound, I love you. That is something I will not be doing.
Open it up right now.
Anything that involves Invasion is something that I would prefer to avoid like the plague.
Just think of those nice teeth that you could be seeing right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our conversation about Justice League International. You guys did your thing with this nomination. What did we do last month? We did
last month would have been
Superman.
No, we did Ultimate Spider-Man.
Right.
Yes,
okay,
that's right.
Cool. Yeah. So we've been winning for a while. They've been good for a while. We're on a good stretch. It's not like those pals polls polls where you guys are a little off.
That's the word.
Ever since the trolling stopped with Invasion, we've been on a good stretch.
This is look at this cover. Invasion.
Yo, Oberon, he got that. He locked up.
Yo, we got the gun, bro. He's ready to fight. It seems like, what is it? Shrunken Kund warriors.
He's in his Rambo phase.
For
Yeah,
real.
bro.
Crazy. Let's hit the comments, see if there are any good comments, and then we're gonna let you guys know what next month's theme will be before we free you. Dan, very happy that we liked it. He said, I'm really happy you guys liked this. I was afraid it would fall flat. Not so, my friend.
Yeah, honestly, Sean, I was a little surprised that you liked it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I'm happy we all did. Yeah, Marco, were you the least hot on this out of all three of us? Before the show, you alluded to it, but
yeah, I think the
Yeah, that's right.
conversation definitely helped. I was ready to come in kind of like, I mean, it definitely has its warts, but overall, I thought that it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why people would think I wouldn't like this, but it's good comics. You know, I like
Sure.
anything that's good. It feels modern. Crisis was hard to read. This was not. I am obsessed with counting words in word balloons, and this one had way less words per balloon than Crisis did. Way
Yeah.
less.
But and the levity of what's in those balloons makes it go by quicker. A lot of like Crisis is mumbo jumbo to explain what's happening. No, this is Blue Beetle making a stupid joke. So I think that makes even though the word count's up there, I don't feel it.
Dan Trudeau makes a good point. He says this book included both new characters and others that were previously on other Earths. Dr. Fate, Blue Beetle, Captain Marvel, even Mr. Miracle wasn't in the main books before. Yeah, in my research for this, I read that Blue Beetle, of course, is a Charlton character.
Yep.
Yes.
And was being integrated into everything. So
with this,
the fact that this
wow.
comes off of Crisis is pretty pivotal because so much in DC is changing.
Yeah, I didn't know this was the point of that happening too. I wonder if this also solidifies which Black Canary it is too, because I know that was a big thing with all the Earths and all that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Dr. Fate as well. Dr. Light would have just come out of that. Even the Harbinger makes like a panel appearance in that issue 10.
Yeah, that's right. But then even Dr. Fate switches at some point. Because there's a mention of I don't know who it is at the start, but there's a mention of I'm no longer that one. I have to like learn and get up to that level again.
Like there's Kent Nelson, which I think this is Kent.
But I thought at some point like issue 8 or like during the Manhunter stuff, I feel like there was mention of I was no longer that one. I'm now somebody else.
I vaguely remember something like that,
Maybe.
The book wasn't that concerned with our understanding that.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
But to the point of wanting to integrate, I mean, this is kind of the strategy, right? You put the team together, you give them a shot, put them on a marquee book with a good creative team, and you do something different with them.
And can I say, Blue Beetle, Ted Kord might be one of my favorite costumes in comics of all time. It's just
goggles.
So cool. There was one panel, I think, where he's laughing, where Maguire just draws him putting his hand underneath his goggles to wipe the tears from his eyes. And that panel alone was like, that's just fucking good comics right there.
Yeah, man. So many good visual moments in this book. Atomic Hound, if I had to be stranded on a desert island with a single comic to read over and over, it would be Justice League. I'm assuming this iteration of Justice League #1. It just speaks of so many possibilities. Wow. Dan Trudeau with an interesting factoid. They split Black Canary into 2 characters. This is Dinah Lance, a daughter of the Golden Age Black Canary. What?
Yeah.
That's the fucky part of DC that I try to avoid like the plague. I don't even want to know that.
That's what I thought it would be. Yeah.
That's the difference. Like people like, how do you know if you're a Marvel or a DC? I know because I read that comment and I don't want to know more. I don't. Like if you told me that, this version of Spider-Man isn't really the original Spider-Man and some other off. I would say stop. I don't want to know that. Leave me out of that.
Oh, and Blue Beetle is another Steve Ditko design. The GOAT.
Yep.
Kenneth Williams says this book seems very James Gunn coded. I can see this being adapted somewhere in DCU. I think you're getting a bit of that already. With
A little bit.
Max
no
Lord. Max Lord is pretty prominent in everything we've seen so far, and that is this version of Max Lord and Guy.
The Justice Gang felt
Yep.
like a proto version of this, without question.
Yeah,
100%.
Won't be long until we see Oberon in this big screen.
Dude, that'd be wild.
That's kind of the fun thing about the new DCU, though, is that all of that seems possible.
Yeah, and tonally, this feels very possible.
Yeah, for sure. Steve, Ben Reilly is not Spider-Man.
He's Peter Parker.
Yes.
Norman Osborn Spider-Man. Let's get this straight.
Yeah, get it right. This is the moment where we want to let you guys know. Well, before we do that, let me read this super chat from Matt Fisher, who dropped $2 on us and says, seriously, have you thought of doing Legends? You know what? It's really not up to us. It's up to you guys.
Is that Legends of Tomorrow?
No, I'm assuming he means the Legends book from DC. It came out around this time period. I think it was before this, just before this. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's up to you guys. You want to throw some comic bucks our way? Feel free. Other than that, you have to wait until a theme comes around that would be appropriate for it and nominate it.
We are doing Radiant Black soon, though. So
yes,
That's right.
I want to get that done this month.
But that has a floor price of 100 comics bucks. So
yeah, yes, indeed. I don't want the Creeper to show up in the DCU. That dude was weird.
I thought Michael Ian Black was him when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, that's a great Jack Ryder. And it was just some news guy.
Oh, wait. Are you saying the Creeper and Jack Ryder are the same person?
Yeah. Jack
Ryder is the Creeper.
Is that did they say that here?
It's
they
just
allude to it.
But that's also just like what it is.
Yeah.
That's fine. I was like, I had no idea. I was like, okay, the Creeper just came out of fucking nowhere. I don't know what his involvement is. I did not know that.
Yeah, he probably got loose because the world was going crazy, and Jack Ryder happened to be there because he went there to get dirt.
Right. That's why Mr. Captain Marvel like picked up Jack Ryder and brought him over.
Yeah. Oh shit. It's comics, kids. Gotta love it. So next month, October, of course, we are in spooky season.
Ooh.
And we're gonna honor that this time around by having Indie Horror Month. Now, what does this include and not include? I will keep it super simple. It does not include anything produced by these two publishers, Marvel Comics and DC Comics. Anything else, fair game. Anything else. You got an Image book you're really into, you got a Dark Horse, you got a Boom, you got a AWA, whatever. I don't care. It's fair game.
Anything have we ever done Hellboy on the show?
Yes.
Yeah, a different era. Pre-crisis.
Pre-crisis, got it. Okay. Ooh,
wow.
Matt Fisher says Nailbiter.
Yo, he said it 4 times and he's yelling at us.
Nailbiter is good. Harrow County, have we done that?
Yes.
Pre-crisis.
Yeah. Well, I was there for Harrow County, wasn't I?
No.
What was I there for that was similar?
I don't know. Manga? No.
Chainsaw Man 2. Yo, I got a huge Chainsaw Man spoiler on Twitter yesterday, and it pissed me off.
Do you follow Chainsaw Man?
No, there was I got a lot of Spanish memes. I don't know why. I don't know how to read it. But yeah.
Vertigo? No, because that's DC.
That's still DC. Because that opens up Swamp Thing and stuff, which is not what we're looking for.
No, it's DC.
No.
Yeah.
And
American Vampire, I would thematically feels right, but we have a hard cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the fact that you want your book to win.
Yeah.
So if you nominate something obscure, the likelihood of it winning goes down. And the less nominations we have for each book, the less variability chance there is. So for example, Nailbiter, that's fairly popular.
I
That
think
could
so.
get get enough nominations. But if I come on here and say, I don't know, some horse shit that my friend made, no one's gonna read that, right?
Wow.
So
Yo, shout out to Joseph Wolf. Sadly means no Soul Plumber. Shout out that you know what that book is. Soul Plumber fucking slaps. That's part of that DC horror good shit.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That was like a basket full of heads, right?
something like
around
that.
there. Yeah.
Maybe. Yo, Banksy Man, Yo Quiero Chainsaw Bato. Hell yeah.
What
no.
other horror like Ice Cream Man? Silver Coin's a good one.
Oh,
That's a
we
little
did
more
almost. I
recent though.
think we did all the issues on that one. No, we made it
Yeah, I
like
hope
at
somebody
least
nominates original Creep Show. Just some EC Comics type shit would be fun.
that'd be rad.
Fatal. Ain't no
Fatal,
damn horror.
it's cosmic horror. It's got like Lovecraftian stuff in it.
Well, we will have threads up for you guys all over the place. YouTube, in the post section, the Discord server, and of course the Patreon page for absolutely free. So make sure you guys get on over there and get your nominations in. Yeah, Atomic Count, I was thinking of you regarding the Eddie Jean book because you nominated it last year, and now we actually have an appropriate theme for it, which I think we might have had a horror theme last month or last year. I don't remember. But in any event, we will let you guys know when those are up. Make sure you get your nominations in. The threads will last for 1 week, so don't delay. We'll be live again with you Thursday for Pals Polls at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern for the main show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will see you in the next one.